Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be talking about speculation for the banner lineups for the release of Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo, obviously coming very soon. Everybody is very hyped about it, and someone else is very hyped. I have a special guest on the channel. Say hello to our boy Minato. How's it going?
Doing pretty well. I am just so excited for these banners. I don't recall the last time I've been this happy for like actual new content. Probably like in UI Goku, all the way back in like what 2018 or something. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly, because I mean we've had like super cool new units like big new Dokkan Fest, like the cooler worldwide celebration and stuff like that, but this is new stuff, so definitely very, very exciting. So this is part 2 of a collaboration between Minato and myself. We are going to be talking about our thoughts on the lineup for the Orange Piccolo banner. So if you want to see our thoughts on the Beast Gohan banner, that is part 1 over on Minato's channel, and the link will be down below in the description. I guess I can't really remember, if depending on what we said, it probably doesn't really matter which order that you watch them in, but you probably should go and watch part 1 first, just in case we make any references back to that. But that link will be in the description, where we talk about Beast Gohan's banner, and this video will be all about Orange Piccolo. So the first couple of things I wanted to point out is obviously one of the units is going to be Orange Piccolo. And then we've designated a slot for a side banner unit. We obviously don't know who that's going to be. Minato's made his own video talking about who he thinks the side banner units can be. I've made one which, at the time this video goes up, it might not be up yet, so keep an eye out for that. And check out our thoughts on who the side banner units could be. But if I go ahead and switch over, these are the New Year's banners from last year, which was obviously for JP, the release of the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and the STR Kid Buu. So we've kind of based our thoughts on the banner lineup off of this Dual Dokkan Fest. But the one thing you have to remember, that for the first time, the New Year's units are LRs. So obviously the banner lineups are going to be a little bit different, but they should be in line with some of the recent LR Dual Dokkan Fest, where we have 10 featured units. So we're going to go through those now. Like I say, one slot is designated for the new unit, the other slot is designated for a side banner unit, and then we've got 8 units lined up that we think will be on the banner. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight in. So the first unit we have, outside of the 2 new ones, is going to be the 7-year LR Super Saiyan 4's Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So we talked about this a bit in Minato's video. Why don't you tell us a little bit? So you think that the 7 years are going to return, right?
Yeah, I just thought it's been a while since they've been an actual banner on JP. Coming from a JP perspective, I know Global, you guys got your Tanabata banner basically recently, the Christmas one. But in JP, it's been all the way since July. So it's been about 6 months at this point. And even then, if you don't really, I don't know if I would, it's a banner, but it's not like a banner, right? I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but in reality, the actual like worth banner to be summoning on since then was their debut banner, right? Back in a year ago from now on GP. So I think it's a great time to return these guys. And, you know, on some New Year's banners, the anniversary units have returned. You know, the 4th anniversary units were on a new year, and the 5th anniversary units also came back on a new year. So I think it would make sense, but it's a little iffy. I just think that, you know, like, I know you said it in my part, but Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta being a fused fighter leader, perfect for like Orange Piccolo.
Yep, exactly. Fused fighters, which Piccolo should be on, right? Because all the later Piccolo units are on that category. And obviously the gods have movie heroes. Obviously they're both going to be on movie heroes, but Gohan is not going to be on either of the Super Saiyan 4's categories. So it does make sense to split them up this way. Again, we did talk about it in part 1 a little bit, but the one thing I am kind of worried about is because these units have only just come back on Global. They have done this before in the past, where we've had same time banners, but they've been different. So this could potentially be the 6-year LRs instead for Global, which would be a little bit of a disappointment, but they have only just come back on a banner that we did get a bunch of free tickets and stuff for. So whilst it would reduce the value of the banner a little bit, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world, but definitely would be very cool to see these guys return again. They're still way up there in the top tier of units, even the 4s, even though they desperately need help. Hey, maybe Orange Piccolo, if he's a super slot 1 tank, he'll be a good unit for their team. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if these guys do actually come back. So I think it would be pretty hype to have these guys back again. LR feature, like we said, we're gonna have 10 featured units, but these kind of LR banners, there's always a couple of LRs. I would expect at least 3, but probably 4, right? So why not fill a slot with an actual top tier LR? So the next one we have, go on.
No, I said I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully.
All bad LRs.
I mean, if it was the 6-year LR, especially for both, that would be kind of disappointing, right? Because they have, unless you get those dodges with Goku, they have kind of both aged out almost completely at this point. So. Yeah, we don't even need to talk about Vegeta.
Isn't he that guy you went 5k so
I was going to say, you know how much it stings, the fact that not only did I get mega shafted for that unit, but then the fact that he didn't even stay relevant for, like, hardly any time at all. So the less we talk about that, the better. So we're just going to move straight into the second unit. So the second unit that we have here is the LR Int Cell. Now, one of the main reasons why this unit is on here, the worldwide celebration units from a few years ago have been sort of regular appearances on these New Year's banners. But obviously when it comes down to units that can fit the theme, you know, Gohan being on Beast Gohan's banner, having the whole Gohan versus Cell thing obviously fits the theme. But then, as we have already discussed, I'll get your thoughts here about especially Cell in particular, but these guys could potentially easy A. A lot of people expected, because of the time difference, when we found out that the 3 and 4 year LRs were easy A-ing during the anniversary, I think it's the exact same time difference if these guys had easy A during the worldwide celebration. So a lot of people were expecting that that could happen during worldwide, and it didn't. So what do you think about Cell and Gohan's chances for this celebration?
I just think it could work as Gohan, right? But just Cell, it just feels kind of weird. It's like, okay, the easy A Cell, but there's like no one to run him with. Well, I guess it's the AGL one, right? But you know, they don't even share key links for the first like what 5 turns. I just feel like they could easy A for sure. But I'm not gonna say like they're guaranteed easy A, especially because, you know, this is going off track a little. But let's say anniversary, we know it's probably not gonna be any Goku or Vegeta, right? Based on what they said. What if anniversary is Gohan and Cell and these guys easy A then, right?
Yeah.
Who knows, right? I could see it though, because they could be featured very likely, and they could just say, hey, let's easy A these guys. Let's get them out of the way. Makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, and they do. I mean, it definitely loses a lot of value if they are featured, but then they don't easy A. Because, you know, these guys, they've been around quite a bit. Cell, apart from being like the heal cheat code for Super Battle Road runs and stuff, I feel like Cell is almost unusable at this point. Like Gohan pretty much, but I guess if you get lucky with the stacking and stuff, right? But these two units definitely need an easy A if they're going to come back into prominence, but they definitely fit the theme of the banners, and like we said, we've got to fill those LR slots, so hopefully they will get an easy A. And like Minato said, if they don't get one, I feel like that could be a big clue for the anniversary potentially being Gohan and Cell, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. So following on from this, we have the Fusion Reborn Tech Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Gogeta. So this one is, if you did watch part 1, we talked about the fact that the physical blue Goku and Vegeta being on Gohan's banner didn't really have like a huge amount of connection. Whereas these guys, because they featured these guys on opposite banners before, I think it was actually the last New Year's banner, these guys were on one and the blue boys were on the other one. These guys at least kind of fit in alongside Piccolo, because potentially he's going to be on Connected Hopes. They're both on fused fighters, like we said about the Super Saiyan 4s. So what do you think about these guys?
It'd be a good pick, right? I think this guy is still useful even right now, just because of the Scouter. Scouter is just such a stupid ability, even for just 5 turns. it still could be helpful in these red zone stages. And they're also on movie bosses, not movie bosses, movie heroes. My
Yep.
bad, don't talk to me, but they're on movie heroes together. They could also share a couple of links, like maybe shocking speed, fierce battle, legendary power, maybe even experienced fighters Piccolo could have, right?
Yep.
It could be an okay, like if this guy's off rotation, maybe linking up with Piccolo, who could be maybe Piccolo slot 2 or something, who knows, right? We don't know how their kits are going to work out. I think that this guy could be a pretty good, option just to throw on there and could be helpful to who we don't even know what their leader skills are going to be. Maybe this guy's on the team for Orange Piccolo.
Yeah, exactly, because there's a lot of categories that Piccolo could have that these guys would then fit on, like as part of his leader skill, right? Because we already said Connected Hopes, powerful comeback. I mean, obviously considering, the scene with the Orange Piccolo transformation and everything, obviously Fused Fighters again, like there's definitely a few categories they share. So depending what Piccolo gets as a leader skill, they could fit on his team, not just these other teams that they also share. So yeah, definitely a solid pick. I think a lot of people soured on these guys, I think a lot more when Cell Max came out, because a lot of people threw them on the team for the scouter effect, only to realise that they get absolutely manhandled in the tech phase. But, you take, like, considering how movie heroes, you can build a very tech-heavy team, and it just absolutely annihilates Broly. Like, this guy definitely still has uses on some of those stages, because, as you said, the scouter effect is still very, very powerful. So I think these guys definitely have a good shot of not only being on the banner, but they're definitely not like, a terrible choice, right, if you end up pulling them. So pretty decent. I think that's it for the LRs. So we're going to move on to our boy here, Gamma 2. So we did talk about this a little bit. I don't want to cover all the same stuff we said in your video, so obviously you guys make sure you do watch part 1. But the Gamma's returning on this banner definitely makes a lot of sense. And it makes sense for Gamma 2 to be on this banner, right? I mean, we start off the movie pretty much with him fighting Piccolo, and then he fights Piccolo again later, while Gamma 1 fights Gohan. So, makes perfect sense for the split. What do you think about these guys returning already?
I think it's a good idea still. And I don't think it'll be, like, I guess, again, we're not going to talk about everything that I said in the previous video, but it would be a good idea to put them on there overall, and don't think it would necessarily be a waste, even though they're featured back in October. And again, like you said, Gohan versus Gamma 1, Piccolo versus Gamma 2. But this is about more Gamma 2 rather than him being on the banner. But what I realized that sucks is that, Gamma 1, Cold Judgment. Gohan could have Cold Judgment. Piccolo could have Cold Judgment. And then this Gamma 2 is stuck with the Innocence.
Yeah,
I'm like,
true.
imagine if he had Cold Judgment too, even though it wouldn't necessarily make 100% sense with this character. I still feel like, that would have been cool. And then it could have been like, all of them have that defense link, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think we could see their return. I mean, people speculated even when they first came out, right, that depending on how long we had to wait, they probably would return on, when we finally got these big new units like the Piccolo, the Gohan, whether we were potentially going to get a Cell. Like, even back then when we weren't too sure, a lot of people figured that they would probably return. So if you did summon on their original banner, hopefully you did manage to pull a copy of each of them, because at least they are on the same banner. But if they do return now, obviously this is a perfect opportunity to pick up a dupe or two while you're summoning for the new hype units. So I mean, they're still going to have a place on the team, right? They're still considered like top tier TURs, right? So depending on the categories, they might not be on Piccolo's team, although they are on Worthy Rivals, which is another category that is very Piccolo like heavy. So they could definitely be on his leader skill depending on what it is. So the Gammas making a comeback would definitely be very, very good. So moving on to the next one, we have AGL Cell. So we obviously already talked about Int Cell. This guy's counterpart being Goku and Gohan. Makes a lot of sense for him to be on Gohan's banner. He doesn't really fit the theme of like being with Piccolo, but obviously with these dual Dokkan Fests, this is where we see dual Dokkan Fest units returning. I'm just looking at his categories. Like, is he going to share any? I guess both the new units could be on Transformation Boost. Accelerated Battle, maybe, but then that's kind of it, right, when it comes to Piccolo's categories. What do you think?
Is Gamma 2 on Accelerated Battle? I know Gamma 1 is.
I believe they both are, right? I don't think... Do they have any categories
so,
that one is on and the other one isn't? I don't think they do, right? Because I know they have one different link, but yeah, I don't think they have... Yeah.
So, the thing is that... so they could all be an accelerated battle, because Gamma 2 fights Piccolo, Gamma 1 fights Gohan. It'd be weird if they're on accelerated battle, then Gohan and Piccolo aren't. Right?
That is actually a very good point. Yeah, because otherwise, who were they having an accelerated battle with? Apart from, I guess, Cell Max, right? I guess, but yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So, I mean, this guy, like I say, it's mainly because he's the counterpart to the Goku Gohan unit. The Golden Week units often return on the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest, so it just makes a lot of sense that if they are going to do that, this guy being on this banner alongside the Int LR Cell and then LR Gohan and the STR Goku and Gohan being on the other banner makes perfect sense. So, I mean, this guy, he is still very good. He's just in that weird spot that he's been in pretty much since release, where he really needs like a super good slot 1 unit on a good team that he's actually on for him to really be effective. But, you know, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, if we do end up having accelerated battle as one of the leader skills, then maybe this guy could see some use on their teams. But, you know, overall, he's a solid unit, but he definitely needs some better builds. But I could see him being on here for sure. So, next up we have STR Kid Buu. So, why don't you start us off with this one? What are some of your thoughts about Kid Buu?
It just, you know, I don't know. You said some of my thoughts about Kid Buu, and first thing is like, well, he has no place. But poor Kid Buu, man. They just really shafted him. Where is the Buu that partners with him? But I don't know. It's like, he doesn't really work with Piccolo, right? It's just more so, you know, he's another dual Dokkan Fest. He's on accelerated battle and Battle of Fate, right? Piccolo and Gohan should be on the Battle of Fate categories.
Yep.
So, I don't know, he's just kind of there. Not really much to say, you know, just throw Kid Buu on the banner. Super Saiyan 2 Goku could be on the other one, and call it a day. He's last year's New Year, so it makes sense if he returns on this year's New Year as well, right?
Yep. And then, yeah, just kind of the same points that we covered with Cell, right? Like, them all being on accelerated battle definitely is good. Transformation boost as well, again, is repeated here for them. So, you know, he's going to be potentially runnable with some of these units, but just like Cell, he's kind of just here because this is how they do these banners, right? With the Dual Dokkan Fest returning on other Dual Dokkan Fest banners. So, still holding out hope for the release of some kind of new Buu that is a 200% lead for, like, Martian Power or something. Because this guy, he got his first 200% lead with one of the Gammas. And he can still put out numbers, but it's just the fact that he has very few relevant, like, partners. So, he definitely needs some help. But hey, you know, good to get some copies of him now, I guess, before that eventual leader does come out. So, definitely still a good unit, but just struggling to find a place, unfortunately, at the moment. So, next up, we have AGL Kid Gohan. So, this is a unit, I did actually put out a tweet the other day, because this is a unit that we discussed quite a bit before deciding to put him on the list for this banner. And some of the main reasons are, obviously, he's a Heavenly Events and Bond of Master and Disciple lead. And he gets a buff if he has a Heavenly Events character on the same turn. So, I know we talked about this, like, privately already, but do you think Orange Piccolo will be on Heavenly Events?
I think he's not, honestly. He doesn't really, because Heavenly Events is units that fight on there or trade and gain a power on there. Piccolo, you know, they upgraded Shadow Realm, but that's not something Piccolo did and doesn't really affect him. Piccolo made the wish at Caps Corp, and then that's where he got his Power Awakened and Orange Piccolo forms, right? So it wasn't really on the lookout, or he didn't really fight on the lookout. So I don't think he'll be there. I wouldn't say that he's not going to be there, but I wouldn't anticipate that to be like one of his categories that he'll get. Even then, though, again, the bond of Gohan and Piccolo, right, makes sense. Piccolo's on the card art.
Yep.
Piccolo would activate his unit super attack, which could be pretty cool. And yeah, he can get the high chance to stun. It could be good if, like, you know, we get a boss that you could stun, like even burst mode, right? You could set to have stun on. And maybe this Gohan could be useful if you're able to stun the opponent in there or something, right? Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly. So that's interesting because I know we didn't discuss that part in particular, but because I think we talked about mainly like you said, the unit super, the fact that obviously they're going to be on Bond of Master and Disciple. Personally, I think Orange Piccolo should be on Heavenly Events only because obviously, even though he doesn't make the wish on the lookout, I had actually completely forgotten. For some reason, I thought that he did, but it's mainly the fact that the power comes from like Dende upgrading Shenron, and that's essentially how he then ended up getting the form. So I think you can make the argument that it should tie in to Heavenly Events, because I mean, at the end of the day, right, the more categories the unit have, the better. But we know what Dokkan is like sometimes with categories that you think a unit should have, and then they don't end up getting them. But
Yeah, I mean, if they give him the team, I'll be down. I'll be happy for it. It could be such a huge buff for that team, right?
yeah, exactly. So definitely would be good. But even if he doesn't have it, obviously, like we said, he triggers the unit super. All that really does is make this Gohan hit a little bit harder and have the higher chance to stun, which in a lot of events is not really why you're running him. But he definitely will still be useful on some of these teams, especially if one of the two is giving him a 200% lead, because he does have that 58% defense support for all allies as well as the healing active skill, so he can still be very useful. So if one of these two guys ends up giving him a 200% lead, I feel like he could be a decent choice for their team, so him being on the banner would definitely be pretty solid. And then last but not least, we left a slot for a unit that could potentially easy A, outside of obviously maybe the LR, Gohan and Cell. And for this banner, who else but the physical Piccolo? So I definitely feel like this guy could get an easy A. Now, obviously on Global, he came out in 2020, but JP, he came out in 2019. So he is, you know, a few years old at this point. He's a Piccolo. We're finally getting a new named Piccolo. So, you know, they're going to link up. This guy stacks defense, has a scouter effect. What do you think about our boy physical Piccolo?
I mean, dude, he could be just absurd. And he could be just the best friend for Orange Piccolo. And it would just be, if he's A's or something, I don't know, there's just so much like, this guy would be so good. Hopefully he easy A's and it's just, you know, Piccolo, the scouter that he has, could be a very useful option.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy, because again, he's aged out of the meta now, like, realistically. Even though he's a stacking unit, he obviously just doesn't start off, like, he doesn't stack up quick enough for him to really be runnable against these, like, big red zone bosses and stuff. But you give him an easy A that makes him runnable in this difficult content, and then, yeah, like, he's an auto-include on the team, right? Because he's going to share multiple links with Orange Piccolo. Even if Orange Piccolo has a very different link set to other Piccolos, they obviously are going to share links. And then, yeah, that scouter effect, the fact that he's an infinite stacker, like, he already has a very good kit. He's just kind of aged out because of the defense that he has to start with and how slowly he builds it up. So with an easy A, he just becomes, like, basically a must-run unit on Piccolo's team, pretty much. So definitely would be interested in seeing his easy A, because he also has the fusion, which a lot of the time when if you ever ended up using this guy when he was still relevant, a lot of the time you were using him on these teams where you didn't have another Namekian, because obviously we've always had this problem of all the Piccolos having the same name. Whereas, of course, now we have a Piccolo with a new name, which means you are going to be able to get his transformation, where he still has the scouter effect, he has damage reduction, he obviously now starts doing more damage. So with an easy A, like, imagine his transformed state. You've transformed the new Piccolo into Orange Piccolo, and he's potentially like a slot 1 behemoth. And then you've transformed this guy with his easy A, and now he's suddenly throwing out, like, you know, 9-10 million attack stats or something. Like, that rotation would actually be insane.
With the scouter, it would just be so stupid.
Yep.
And then the stacked defense, you know, with like Brainiac's Cold Judgment and Shocking Speed active. That's like what, 40% defense, right? So that's no 45%, right? That's just stupid. That'd be really, really good.
Yeah, exactly. This rotation could actually be insane, especially because he has the scouter. Imagine if Orange Piccolo, we're not obviously going to go into crazy, like, off the rails details about, like, the units, kits and stuff, because that's for a different video, but imagine if Orange Piccolo has some kind of super counter because of that, him just tanking those punches from Gamma 2 and then laying him out. Like, if he has some kind of negation or counter, it then just even more increases this guy's value, because you're then able to see where the super attacks are. So this guy, I could see him being featured on the banner even if he doesn't get an easy A, but best case scenario for this like celebration and for Piccolo's team is this guy getting an easy A. So I think that would be very, very hype. So
fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. But so there you go. Those are the units that we have picked out to be the units for the Orange Piccolo banner. Obviously, like we said, it's these 8 units and then a potential new side banner unit, and then obviously Piccolo himself. As I said at the beginning, if you want to see, if you haven't watched it yet and you want to see the units that we picked for Beast Gohan's banner, some of them will be pretty obvious based on the counterparts, but there are a few other interesting ones in there as well. Let us know if you think any differently about who could be on the banner. But yeah, thanks for joining me for the collab, Minato. Is there anything else you would like to add before we head off?
Well, you see, my last thing I'd like to add is I love Piccolo and Gohan, and they're cool, and I can't wait. I'm just so excited. That's all I want to say.
I mean, yeah, I feel
also,
like...
watch JoJo.
True, watch JoJo. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat. This definitely is a very exciting time. I am so glad, as a global player, that this is on both versions at the same time, because they've waited so long to bring out the, you know, the big hype movie stuff, and the fact that we all get to experience it at the same time is awesome. So let us know down below. I know we're all excited. Let us know what you're looking forward to. Let us know your thoughts on our choices on the banner. Make sure you check out part 1. The link is in the description. And yeah, that is going to be it from your boy, Master Ningen and Minato. And we will see you all again soon. Have a good one.